Welcome to Video Games Revisited. Today we're going to be playing what's undoubtedly the most frequently requested video. It's going to be E.T. on the Atari 2600.
Okay, so E.T., the 1982 Atari adventure game, based on the movie. Now, other than the half-decent intro screen with the E.T. theme, there's not really much to get excited about with regards to graphics and sound. It's all very dull and not particularly exciting. Now, this game doesn't really have much to do with the movie, and is cited by many as being the first video game movie cash-ins. Now, the aim of the game is to collect the 3 bits of E.T.'s interplanetary phone in order for him to assemble it to get taken back to his home planet. All the time you're playing, E.T.'s health, represented by the numbers at the bottom of the screen, will be going down, and if it gets down to 0, E.T. will turn white and collapse on the floor. However, you can top up E.T.'s health by collecting the Reese's Pieces, which are dotted around each level and represented by small dots, and if you get enough of these, Elliot will come along and top up E.T.'s health, so you can continue on your search for the 3 bits of the telephone. These 3 pieces are hidden around in various pits across 6 different environments, and to find them you just simply jump into the pits, and if you find a bit in there, collect it. Now, this caused a problem for me, as 20 years of gaming experience has always told me to stay away from giant pits in the ground, especially on adventure games, and I can't remember a scene in E.T. where he was leaping into pits searching out bits of technology. And once you're in these pits, you've got to get out, and you can't climb up the side, and it all gets very confusing. So to get out, you have to levitate by pressing the fire button, which extends E.T.'s neck, lifts you off the ground, and then you just use the joystick to steer your way out. The problem being, with the graphics, there is absolutely no depth perception as to your position on there, and the edge detection on the pits is incredibly poor. So most of the time when you get yourself out of a pit and you change to the top-down view of the field, you'll end up either clashing with another pit and falling in, or dropping straight down into this pit because you haven't cleared the edge. In fact, the only way I've found that's almost foolproof is, as soon as you're out the pit, stop your movement and then hold down to land below it. However, depending on your situation, this isn't always an option, as there are enemies in this game in the form of FBI agents that'll take your hard-earned bits of phone off of you, and scientists that'll steal your Reese's Pieces that you need to stay alive, and drag you off to a science lab just to add insult to injury. Now, I've got no problem with enemies being in a game like this, but they appear so often it's almost a constant threat, meaning it's very hard to get all the pieces you require, and just when you get to a point where you think you're onto a winner, one appears and messes you up again. And they move incredibly fast as well. Whilst you can speed up your waddle by holding down the fire button, you still find yourself bumping into them, even when just crossing from one screen into another. This also applies to the pits, that you'll find yourself quite often when changing from one screen, just falling straight into a pit on the next. Unfortunately, the rest of the navigation for these environments isn't much better. I can't really find any discernible order that they're placed in, or any way to navigate them effectively. In fact, if you stand on a screen and just press up, you don't scroll through different environments, you quite often just bounce between the same 2. It really doesn't make sense to me. And as for the arrow at the top of the screen, I'm completely clueless as to what that's for. I spent quite a while just playing around trying to work out what it was pointing me at and what the different symbols meant, but I can see absolutely no logic to it. Now, if by some small miracle you do manage to get all of the parts and assemble the phone, you have to get to the landing site to end the game, which I simply cannot work out where I have to be to get the ship to come down. I've tried wandering about all 6 of the different screens, and just moving my position I can see no indication at all. But if you do manage it, the game simply goes back to the start and you're away with the same task again, with no increase in difficulty at all. Now, several different difficulties are available, and going up the difficulties adds more enemies and makes them move faster, but I can't for the life of me think why you'd want that to happen. The game's almost unplayable as it is. I don't see what an extra challenge could possibly offer. Overall, E.T.'s a fairly disappointing game with very repetitive gameplay, no discernible logic to it, and also pretty unfaithful to the film. Now, I do try and keep my reviews as positive as possible, however I'm struggling to find something I like in this game. I mean, it's an interesting premise, and I suppose it's quite ambitious for an early adventure game, but all of the parts just don't work together. It's messy and it doesn't play right, and games should be an amalgamation of different features and different working parts, all fitting together and working in harmony, but it really isn't the case with E.T. I feel with a little bit of extra work and time for development, it could have been a game similar in its style to Haunted House, but it just hasn't happened in this case, and the result is just a disappointing game for everybody. So, cheers for recommending that, guys. I'll think twice about doing a game you all want me to next time, as it hasn't turned out too well for me. That said, I do genuinely love hearing from you all, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.